Good evening. This is Elizabeth Griffin, your independent author from South Philadelphia, and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, please take a moment and do so now, as well as hit the like button. For those of you who are subscribers, thank you very much for the support. I truly appreciate it. You can share my videos via text messaging and Facebook, as well as leave a comment below. Today, I want to talk about two subjects, and I'm going to merge them together. One is world building, and the other is paranormal romance. So each of these topics can be talked about individually, but I think for this purpose, it would be easier to explain everything if I do it all together. So paranormal romances are romances that involve werewolves or vampires or supernatural creatures or witches, warlocks, things like that. They also can involve aliens, but that might branch off into another subgenre. World building is when you create a world for your story. Some people use the existing world and the rules and the laws that apply to that world. An example of this is Earth. Earth has its own built-in laws, such as the law of gravity, such as the rotating of the Earth around the sun, and things like that. So you can use a world that has already been built and then just implement certain things within that world, or you can create a world from scratch. If you create a world from scratch, that means you have to create all the laws. That means you have to create the history of the world that you are have your characters inhabit. So, in your world, for instance, maybe there are no seasons. For you, in your world, maybe there are religions, but those religions could be similar to the religions that already exist, but they should be distinct and unique in their own way. Uh, Perhaps in your world, people or the creatures or whatever the characters are in your world, perhaps they worship other things other than God. Like suppose they worship inanimate objects or things like that. So when you create a world, you need to create the history of the world, the evolution of the world, how the world began, things like that. So a lot of writers use existing worlds and just implement the rules and laws that they want to include within that world. An example of this is, for me, I love vampires. So we were talking about paranormal, but I love vampires. I think they are alluring. I think they exude a certain sexuality that is just intriguing. They are represent forbidden love. They represent lust. They represent hedonistic activities, primal sexual activities. That's how I see vampires. So in this world that I'm going to build for this video, I have a main character, which is a young woman, and I'm creating this as I talk. So I have a main character, which is a teenage young girl. She's about, let's say, 19 years old. She's African American. Of course, she's beautiful. They all are. And she is rebellious, and she has no regard for life or for death. She doesn't, she thinks she's invincible, so she doesn't fear death or the afterworld. So this is her character, and obviously she's mortal. The hero of the story is going to be a vampire, and he is centuries old. And I was considering either having him be African American or having him be white. And I thought of two different directions. If he's African American, then I wanted him to be a freeman during the Civil War era. So he is a free African American during that time period, and he's an abolitionist. And he was hung, and through whatever my rules of my laws of my storytelling, as far as the evolution of vampires in this world, he became a vampire, and so now he exists in this world centuries upon centuries. And he meets my main character, and he's intrigued by her because of her reckless disregard for life. He values life because he lost his. So that's one character. I said that I would take my hero either two ways. If he's not the African American freeman, then he would be a white abolitionist. And then I thought of uh, having him killed. And the way in which he would be killed is that he was hung alongside other slaves. And as he's dying, through whatever my rules for becoming a vampire, he becomes a vampire. And as he becomes a vampire, he starts to assess his life and all the things that he's done and how he died. And now he's bitter. He's bitter that he sacrificed his life for slavery. He believed in it, but not. He believed in fighting against slavery, but not at the expense of his life. So this character comes across my main character, which is the African American young woman, and he is also intrigued with her. So the reason I presented both of these characters is because I'm not sure which one I want to use in this particular story. So I have two options. I have the white abolitionist and I have the black abolitionist. And depending on which hero pulls me the strongest will determine which one I'll use for the story. So that just gave you an idea of developing the characters. The world that I have exists. However, I would like to use, I was thinking biblical references as far as telling the story. And what I mean by that is when you create your world, you can use reference points to help you with your ideas. So you can use the Bible and the stories in the Bible and some of the intriguing things that happen in the Bible, or you can use Greek mythology, or you can use Roman mythology, or you can use Asian religions. You can use any one of those sources just as a reference point and just as an idea to help you develop your world. So in doing this, you would take notes and you would decide how you want your story to be told. If you want, you can also you can write out outlines, or you can create outlines of the scenes and what exists in each scene and what type of surrounding material is in your world. So, in addition to that, you can also do research on the dress of the time. Because if you're telling a story about a vampire that's centuries old, you have to know what the dress was of that time period. You would have to know the language and how they spoke during that time period. You would have to know the customs, because this character, even though he's lived centuries, he probably has certain habits that he has clung to over the years. And the same thing with my young woman, the female character. You may want to develop certain habits and certain traits that make her unique. So this is my spin on world building and the paranormal world. Also, with these characters, the female, the hero, and the heroine, you have to develop a love story between them. And with this love story, it cannot be just they meet, they fall in love, and it's over. You need conflict, and you need believable conflict. You need something that keeps these two apart. It could be the fact that he's attracted to her and he wants to protect her from harming herself, but she is reckless and she wants to live life on the edge. And so that could be a conflict. She wants to live life on the edge and he wants to protect her. Or it could be something whereas she doesn't want anything to do with him because he was an abolitionist, and because he resents, and we're talking about the white abolitionist. He resents the fact that he sacrificed his life for the cause of slavery. And then if he looks at how the African Americans are existing in today's society, he could look at all the crime. And when I say that, like the homicides, where it's black on black killing, he could look at that and say, well, I sacrificed my life, and then I see that you're killing each other. The homicide rate every year just keeps going up and higher and higher. Was it worth it? So you can tackle a whole lot of a whole lot of issues in your paranormal. So I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you glean some information and some insight from it. Definitely leave comments below and let me know what you think about this video. I enjoyed sharing my ideas with you, and I hope to talk to you soon. As always, love, peace, and joy and happiness. Bye bye.